It was good, Joel. It's your man, the Bigga P, and I'm here to share my thoughts on the Miguel Cotto Sergio Martinez pay-per-view. Just finished watching about an hour ago or so. We'll start with the undercard fights. The first fight was John Jackson versus Andy Lee. Um, Turned out to be where at first it looked like it was going to be a one-sided fight because even though Andy Lee dropped from 160 to 154, he made absolutely no changes in his defense. He was still getting tagged over and over again. I mean, he was just acceptable to just getting hit with the lead rights over and over again. Even got him knocked down, and I think it was the first or the second round. In the fifth round, too, when John Jackson actually had him against the ropes, I thought we were looking at a stoppage right there, and all of a sudden, Andy Lee just blasted him, just one right hook, and had to leave Jackson out cold on the canvas. Spectacular knockout. I mean, was not expecting that. I'm not expecting it at all, but yes, that was a spectacular knockout. Most likely, you can put that too on a KO of the year candidate. We've had some some pretty brutal KOs this year. Even though in terms of fights, not this year, like in terms of like fights we call fight of the year, they haven't been as plentiful as they were at least last year. Yeah, but KOs they've been coming. So yeah, it was a good win for Andy Lee. Now, one thing about Andy Lee, I mean, I honestly don't think he's going to be an elite fighter, if anything. But he'll make for some fun fights at 154. That's for damn sure. Especially when he can actually knock somebody out with one punch. So the next fight was Melendez versus Maciel. Maciel was a last-minute replacement for Yuri Foreman, who abruptly retired after something that happened behind the scenes prior to this fight. So I mean, a fight which was already going to be dull on paper, turned to be a little bit more interesting than expected. But even then, Melendez was the type of fighter. Melendez was was actually trained for this fight, and Maciel only had 3 weeks. So you would expect that Melendez, although Maciel was giving himself a good example of himself by actually taking it to him in the early rounds, you were wondering like when he was actually going to his tank was going to empty. And Macedo's tank emptied several times during the fight. But for whatever reason, Melendez, even though he was the fighter that actually had time to train, um, just could not find a way to actually take advantage of that. And in the process, he even got himself knocked down once in the fight. The fight continued, just a lot of good back and forth. In the 10th round, again, they were going, they were both going throwing home run punches, trying to knock each other out, but they gassed halfway through the final round. Um, but I have to give Macedo all the props in the world for taking a fight like this and winning on a pay-per-view. Um, One thing about Argentine fighters is, you can just never take any of them lightly. If they're on TV and you don't know who they are, they will make sure know who they are by the end of the fight. I give Vasile props for once again for playing the spoiler role and causing upset and giving a great fight. Melendez, however, just proves to be a little bit limited. Although he had a nice jab and all, there was just really no excuse for him to lose like how he did. He actually had time to train for this fight, so I just don't understand why he couldn't, why he gassed like he did, like Macedo did. But that fight will probably send him back a little bit. I mean, all the power in the world, but doesn't really have, no stamina, and then apparently, can't really box. So, although he did show a nice jab, but it was just like he was just allowing himself to get outworked and tagged, just falling for traps. Um, it was just disappointing. Um, the next fight, however, was a true was the true meaning of disappointment. Sensona versus Vasquez. Their first fight actually was very entertaining, and it was shorter because it only lasted 4 rounds. When Sensona got knocked out, this fight was at first shaping up to be something a little bit. I thought it was gonna keep on going the streak of good undercard fights where Vasquez actually got knocked down by a body shot took a 9 count from Sansona. But then the fight got sloppier, and then when it didn't get, and then when it gets sloppy, but also got dirtier too. It was killing my buzz really bad just watching the fight. How much struggle, how much wrestle it was. And it seemed like Sansona was fighting like he had the talent, but he just didn't want to be there. And Vasquez, for whatever reason, just couldn't just couldn't come up with any type of sustained attack without being held or going to the ropes or wrestling. Um, it was a terrible fight, and I was thankful it was over. Um, Personally, I thought it was a draw. I didn't think Sansona. There was one. I didn't Sansona won, nor did he win by the margins on the judges cards. But neither of them I'm not looking forward to seeing in the ring anytime soon. That's for damn sure. It kind of killed the. But I know that fight was a buzzkill for me, for a lot of people, especially in the audience. So it was that fight. I mean, of all three fights, if I think that probably would have been the fight that I would think that would actually be the dud. But I guess it happens. Sometimes styles just don't clash, and you get that. I was hoping for a brutal knockout, didn't get it. So it is what it is. Now brings us to our main event: Miguel Cotto versus Sergio Martinez. Now the whole thing with Sergio is he 100% from all the injuries? It's his knee, it's his hand, it's his shoulder, is everything where it needs to be? Or is Miguel Cotto? Is he? I mean, he's fighting in a heavier division. Well, can he actually take Sergio's power? The question was, yes, Cotto can take Sergio's power, and yes, and no, Sergio was not 100%. Um, Sergio put himself such in a hole so fast in the first round, going down 3 times, giving himself a 10-6. He just never dug himself out. He pretty much looked every bit of his 39. His movement, his lateral movement was bad. He was fighting with his hands down for a lot of the times, even though he did eventually keep it, move his hands up. Cotto just was boxing beautifully. He was even hitting the shoulder roll as stiff as it was and countering him effectively. And it was just getting to the point where just Sergio was just taking way too much punch, especially in the last round, where he got knocked down, and he was just hopelessly behind on the cards. And I hated watching. I hated watching because Sergio for the past 4 years was, I liked him because he was a great fighter, and he was a good champion. But I hated seeing him. Clearly he wasn't 100% and was just taking a one-sided beating. But at least, like I said, he went out on the Shield like a champion. So you can't really fault him for stop. I mean, he was trying to have to stop it for him, and rightfully so, because I didn't really want to see him eventually take a one shot that would put him on the canvas again and probably out. So, like I said, Cotto boxed beautifully, and Roach really, I think, really had him working like clockwork. In that fight, his footwork was better. His punches, he went to the body more, the countering. Everything was just firing on all cylinders. So my hats off to Cotto, becoming the first Puerto Rican ever to win titles in 4 divisions, and now he's not only the WBC middleweight champion, but he's also the lineal champion at middleweight. I think it's his first lineal title. After this, Sergio is now pretty much ready for retirement. I mean, I can't see. Although if he continues on, it'll just more or less because he's a name. And I don't want to see Sergio become a name opponent. Sergio, for coming into the sport as late as he did, had a great career. I mean, he's 50. He was 51. He's 51, 3-2. For a late starter, he's won a good amount of fights, and I think it's enough. Unless he wants to take a real soft touch to end his career with a win, but I think now Sergio should now call it a career because now his body's betraying him, and the stuff that made him special in terms of his athletic style are now greatly diminished. And like I said, I don't want to see Sergio pretty much getting knocked out flat on his back because of it. As for Miguel Cotto, he pledged himself now to make the best fights happen in boxing. Pretty much now it's like, it's pretty much one of these three fighters. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Canelo if he gets by Laura, or is it going to be Triple G, or is it going to be, will he be able to entice Floyd into a rematch, which will be, all these fights will be big money makers with different ranges of risk. Cotto again, like I said, puts himself to be in the best position to make the best fights, and now he's the ruler of now he's the new ruler at middleweight. So we'll see where it goes. Overall, like I said, the fight card was good. There was only one dud fight, and two fights that were undercard. The two undercard fights were pretty damn good, and then the main event itself, was entertaining to a degree. But like I said, just the fact that Sergio was just so injured kind of put a little bit of a damper on it. But it wasn't a struggle to watch though. It was just, it just happened, and you just wanted. It was unexpected. So what can you do? So, well, I mean that pretty much takes care of all my thoughts for the pay-per-view. Pretty much right now, I'm probably going to read some more comments about it, go on the forums, talk about the fight card some more, and go from there. All right, until next time, peace.